What's going on, guys? Intech here, and welcome back to another special edition of Unturned Update. Today, Nelson had another developer stream, and he covered a lot of different things. So I have a full list of notes once again, a couple pages worth of notes, and I'm just going to read you through some of the things that he talked about and went back over and some of the new things that he put into the game today. I talked with him earlier in the day about ruined buildings and wrecked objects and missing walls and rubble and things like that, and he said that would be something that would be great to add into the game and something he's already planned on putting into the game because that really adds to the atmosphere of the post-apocalyptic survival kind of environment. So we can look forward to seeing ruined buildings, wrecked objects, missing walls from some houses, rubble, and things like that. He also added in new foliage, so things like ivy and overgrowth, and he made like the flowers and the grass and things like that look a lot better, and it's more dense looking, and it just looks more natural. And he also said that you can create specific details for multiple layers for grass and wheat and textures like that. And he shows how you can actually place down the ivy and make it like, go up the side of a barn or something like that, or up the side of a house. And it looks really cool because it actually adds to that post-apocalyptic environment where it's like, nobody's tended to this house or barn or whatever it is for years. So of course there's going to be random overgrowth all over the place and things growing up the side of buildings and things like that. And it's just really cool to see, how easy it was to implement that into the game and how much that actually changed the look of things. He also created a density option for trees, and he wants to have more types of trees. So, pine trees and maple trees, and I don't know, maybe you can change the texture of the trees and things like that and make it look a different color. And so there's a lot of different things that he's wanting to do, but the density option is really cool. And at the start of the stream, he increased the density like way up, and there was just thousands of trees, and it was sweet looking. And, it's kind of cool to see that because I want to make a really dense forest on a map that I'm going to make. So that's really cool to see and look forward to. He was also talking about how the size of grass and foliage is based on the textures that you provide. So that means you could possibly create high resolution textures, and he even made a joke about how he's like, when I get this release, somebody's probably going to go back and redo all my textures and make it look way better than what I did. He also talked about how he wants to make the editor easier to use in terms of finding models that you can put into the game, and he said maybe he'll do a search option or categories like a folder system or something like that. But essentially he wants to make it really easy for everybody to use so that you can actually make your own maps and your own designs and things like that. He made mention about how he wants to improve vehicle collision so that when you hit another car or you hit an object, it actually, makes more damage to the car. So, you might want to be a little bit more careful when driving, and so there's going to be improved vehicle collision. He said that bikes may be added in the future. Well, we'll see what happens with that, but, basically he said it could happen. Maybe you'll see bikes in the future. He said certain objects in 3.0 will have reflections, such as the grain silos that he added today. He created a lot of models, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but one of them was grain silos, and he said, he made mention about how it's going to look way better when it actually has reflections in. He talked about various energy types other than generators and fuel, and he briefly mentioned solar panels, like just very briefly. And so maybe we can look forward to seeing new types of energy sources like solar energy or biofuels or something like that. There's a lot of opportunity in this game, and I don't think, you don't really have to limit yourself in the design process because there's a lot of different things that you could potentially do. He talked once again about the weather cycles, and he said that rain will definitely return in 3.0. And he said maybe different size generators and fuel tanks might exist, and you will definitely have to refill your generators in 3.0. And he also made mention a couple times about how he might actually make it so that fuel tanks actually run out of gas, so you have a limited supply of fuel on your map. And I don't know, once it's out, or is that per reset, or how that's going to work? It's probably going to be per reset. But he talked about how he wants to make certain, maybe the fuel tank at one of the farms is only like 25% full, while another one somewhere else is completely full, in Berrywood. That means that fuel pump in Berrywood might become more of a cherished and prized thing, and people might defend that more. So it really adds to the dynamics of the gameplay and could make things as simple as fuel something that people will fight to the death for. So like I said in the last video, please forgive me if things are out of order, if I talk about models now and models later. You know, it's just how I wrote things down as he was talking about it, and I didn't really organize it right now, just so I could get the video out a little bit quicker. So he made a couple new models. One of them was a new silo, so like grain silos, and he put them at the farms. There's 2 of them on the test map that he made. He also made new fuel tank models, and the new fuel tank's a little bit more rounded, and so there's a little bit different of a texture to it than what you're used to seeing. He also added new power line models, like telephone lines, and so like there's a bunch of them stretched across the highway along the side of the road in the test map, and it was just really cool to see how quickly he made that. Everybody in chat was like, "Whoa, that's so crazy how fast you can make those things!" And I mean, it looks really good. He just like looked up an image off of Google and made the model right then and there, and it was really cool to see that being made firsthand. He also added in new playground models with slides and swing sets and monkey bars, and he also added in a new model for something that he put around the playground, which we'll talk about later, and you guys will actually see that in a couple images. But it was just really cool to see this little new model. I mean, there's that playground in Berrywood, and I really don't pay attention to it that much, but you know, all these different things that he's putting in game that are assets, you know, you can put into your own map in your own level eventually. So I don't know if you want to have a massive playground or something, you could always put in some playground equipment. Like I said, he also added in new foliage. Like, it looked like the grass was a little bit more dense and there were some flowers. He also added in wheat, so there's actually wheat in the farm field now. And then it also looked like there was grass overgrowth that he talked about a couple times, like on the roads and throughout the city and the map. And it just made it look more realistic, and I really like the look of things. He probably will not be adding in third-person mode. So people were talking about third-person. He said he's probably not going to do a third-person mode or motto. He also added in some various models, like new fence types. There was a couple different ones. There was like a kind of like a picket fence, but it was brown, that was around the farmland. And he also added in some broken parts of that. So like there was actual like a broken part in the fence that you could walk through. He also added in like one of those large fences. He added a broken part to that fence as well. And then he also added in a bent, broken part of a guardrail. And he talked about how he wants to put in that spot where the guardrail was broken. He wanted to put in like a car that had crashed, and essentially like the guy was driving down the road, turned into a zombie, crashed into the guardrail, broke through it, and now the car is just sitting there on the map, sunk into the ground. It's overgrowth, it's ruined, you can't drive it. It's just a static object that is not going to be able to be moved, and it's just something to add to the environment of the level. He talked briefly about female character models and the possibility of them coming in 3.0, and basically I guess people had suggested the way to do it would just be to make the character model a little bit thinner, and then you have a female model. I don't know what he plans on doing, and maybe he'll make it look a little bit different, who knows. But he did talk about female character models. So like I said before, and I'll note it again because I have it written down again, it looks like the editor has the option to have placeable moss and ivy and overgrowth that you can actually put on the buildings and stuff. So like that's a pretty cool aspect if you want to make like a really huge city that's just ruined and old, kind of like I Am Legend, where that city's just completely overgrown with grass or something like that, and ivy on the buildings and stuff. You could probably make something like that. He did make mention of something very quickly that I caught, and I don't know if a lot of people caught it, but he did say that he wants to make buildings have doors, whether they're broken or they're still up, but he wants to have doors on buildings that you can probably open, and, I don't know if you can maybe barricade them up or lock them or whatever, but he did make mention of that, and I thought that was a pretty cool thing because, that will actually add to the level of realism as well. He did make mention of one thing, and I was reminded like 10 times about noting this. He wants to add heavy machine guns in the future, maybe. So let me just say maybe, but he did mention that he might add heavy machine guns in the future. One thing that he talked about that a lot of people ask about is boats. He talked about boats, and he said that a motor boat might be possible and it might happen, but a rowboat won't. And that's simply because you'd have to actually change the way things work to have a rowboat and have your character actually rowing the boat. But a motorboat, you can just drive that around. So he did make mention about the probability of that. So, maybe we'll see motorboats in the future. Now, something that he did during stream that I thought was really cool was that he actually worked on and modeled a plane during the stream. And the one at the airport looks pretty cool, but like this one looked really, really well done. And he said he wanted to use it as a crash plane on the test map, and he made reference to maybe being able to have planes that you can fly in the future, even though he said it is unlikely, but who knows is what he said. And he put that plane in game, and he made it crashed area on the map, and he's going to put rubble and stuff around it, and it looks really cool. And you can probably see that in the video at the end really quickly, the clip at the end when he did a review of the map. But so stay tuned for that. He actually walks you through things at the end of the video. He made mention again about being able to put storage crates on vehicles. He created street lights. This was really cool. He created street lights and added lighting to them to show what they would look like when they were powered on and lit up. And he talked about maybe making the power plant a high priority and possibly making a downside to powering up a city, such as more active or aggressive zombies. So, it kind of seems like there's going to be events that can occur in 3.0 and consequences to your actions. So, you power up a whole city, maybe all the zombies in the area will get more aggressive and more active, or maybe more zombies will come to the city. I don't know how it's going to work, but essentially there could be consequences for what you do. He also worked on traffic lights too. So, there's a couple stoplights and traffic lights, and they looked really cool too when he powered those up, and things looked really eerie at nighttime when the fog rolled in. It was so cool looking. I just love the fog. I don't know why. I'm so hyped up, guys. If you can't tell, I'm freaking hyped. 3.0 is going to be amazing. And he said you'll be able to make your own clothes and skins, and he created a fire hydrant model right at the end of the video. And then there will probably be more gold member benefits, and he talked about new zombie types again and mentioned boss zombies and tougher ones, more aggressive ones. And then he created hedges at the end of the stream that are placeable objects in the editor, and he put those around the park, and you'll kind of see some images of that in some in the video. And then he said he plans to add more construction site items such as cranes and bigger items and things like that. So overall, it was really cool to see him make all this stuff during stream, and he's probably going to be streaming again tomorrow, so check out his Twitch. It's twitch.tv/dev_Nelson. For those of you who constantly ask, it's dev_Nelson. Check out his stream. Go follow it so you know when he's going to go live. He might not make an announcement. He might just go live and start working on stuff. And without further ado, I'll let Nelson wrap up the video for you about the things that happened today. Remember to click that thumbs up button below and feel free to subscribe. Once again, go check out his Twitch. Thanks for watching, guys.
Let's go over what happened today. So we started off on the barn area, working on some overgrowth type things, experimented with that a bit, and came up with this whole creeper type thing where the foliage can grow on top of the barns, buildings like that, and that'll kind of add to the atmosphere. Added some new features for putting weight and things like that down. We worked on fences, a lot of different fences. People got bored of it. But there's that now. Gas tanks, a bit more round. The grain silos, again, more round over here. We've got some new telephone poles. Again, more crashed fences over here. We've got a bit of a ripped up road to go with the new kind of apocalyptic look. Bit of a ripped up guide rail fence. We worked on a airplane, a fully functional airplane, as well as a crashed one. Here we've got the crashed one. We're going to work on rubble a bit more tomorrow. We worked on some new environmental things like these lights, which you'll be able to turn on with a power plant. So you can either power each individual light with a generator, or you can find the power plant and put fuel in it, and then you'll be able to turn on the lights for the entire town like this, as well as each building will hopefully have some sort of light switch system. We also put some foliage on these buildings, and it looks fairly nice. Like from the inside you can see that there's these vines growing on the outside. We worked on the playgrounds, and you can see there's like these hedges that go around. There's a few things here like slides and monkey bars, things like that. And tomorrow we're going to work on adding some like park benches and tables, chess, of course. That pretty much sums up what we worked on today. And obviously yesterday's stream we worked on this whole road layout, working on that. So thank you for watching.